Hello friends and welcome back to edupediaworld.com. In the last few sessions, if you remember, we have discussed about Keynesian two-sector and three-sector model of income determination, where we have seen that how income is determined in a closed economy. A closed economy is an economy where there are no foreign trades happening, that is, there are no exports, no imports, etc. In this session, we are going to discuss that how income is determined in an open economy. Now, here we are going to include the effect of foreign trade, that is exports and imports. So now let's see that how income is determined in a four-sector model. Here the four sectors will be your household, firms, government, and the effect of foreign trades, that is export and import. So let's proceed forward. So the four-sector model relates to income determination in an open economy, that is an economy where foreign trades are happening. So if there are foreign trades in an economy, it will give rise to two variables, that is exports and imports. Now if we revise upon the three-sector model, when we include the effect of government into the model, it gives rise to two components, that is government expenditure and taxation. While government expenditure was injections into the income stream of the economy, the taxation effect was that it was withdrawals from the income stream of the economy. Likewise, when we include the effect of foreign trade, it gives rise to two effects, exports and imports. Exports here are injections to the national income because they increase the demand for goods in the same economy. Whereas imports are withdrawals, or we can say leakages from the national income, because they represent the supply of goods to the given economy. So we are going to consider here the net effect of imports and exports. Let's see how. We are not going to take exports and imports here separately. That is, here we will just incorporate the difference between exports, which is denoted by X, and imports, which is denoted by M. So we just take the difference, that is exports minus imports. Now what if exports are more than imports? Because exports result into injections into the economy, so if exports are more than imports, it will result into net injection into the income stream of the economy and the national income will increase. On the other hand, if suppose exports are less than imports, then what will happen? Because imports result into withdrawals from the income stream of the economy, so it will result into net withdrawals, which will ultimately cause decrease in the national income of the economy. Now let's move on to understand the basic assumptions of four-sector model. The first assumption is that the domestic economy's international trade is small relative to the total world trade. Now this is very easy to understand. Obviously, when we consider the trade of just one country, it will be a very small proportion as compared to the trade of the whole world. The second assumption is that there is less than full employment in the economy. Third one, the general price level is constant up to the full employment level. So as soon as we reach the full employment level, the general price level will be changing. What about the exchange rates? They are considered to be fixed. It is also considered that there are no tariffs, trades, and exchange restrictions. That is, somewhat free trade is being assumed in this model. The next assumption is that gross exports are determined basically by the external factors. Now we'll see that what are the various factors on which exports are dependent. Exports is dependent upon all these factors. Now, after studying all these factors, we'll know that maximum of these factors are beyond the control of an economy. Let's see, the first factor is prices of domestic goods in relation to prices of goods in importing country. That will determine that whether the export will increase or decrease. The second one is tariffs and trade policies of importing countries. Suppose if they increase the tariffs and trades on the goods they are importing, so obviously the export will decrease by an economy. The third assumption is export subsidies by the exporting country. Then the next assumption is income elasticity for imports in the importing countries. That is how much proportion of their income they are ready to spend on the goods they are importing. If they are spending larger proportion of their income, then obviously they will be creating more demand of that particular product. The last assumption is that level of imports by the domestic economies. So these are the various assumptions which determine that what will be the level of export of an economy. Now, if we clearly study these assumptions, we'll see that except the first assumption and the third assumption, that is prices of domestic goods in relation to prices of goods in importing countries, and the third assumption, that is export subsidies, all the other assumptions are beyond the control of an economy. So majority of the assumptions are beyond the control of an economy. So for the purpose of simplicity, what we have done is, it has been assumed that exports are determined by factors which are operating outside the economy, and when we determine the income through this particular model, X, that is exports, is treated as an autonomous variable, that is an independent variable. This we'll see in our next assumption. We see that exports X, investment I, and government expenditure G are autonomous. In the last model, that is 3 sector, also the investment I and government expenditure were considered to be constant and autonomous. In this model 4 sector, we also consider the exports, that is X, to be autonomous and independent, because majorly it is dependent upon the external factors which is beyond the control of an economy. The last assumption, basic assumption, is that consumption C, imports M, savings S, and taxes T are each a fixed proportion of national income Y, and their relationships with national income are linear. That is, the percentage of consumption, imports, savings, and taxes are not going to change. Always we'll be considering the national income to be 100%. Suppose initially we consider consumption 25%, then imports 25%, then savings 25%, and taxes to be 25%. So this 25% will remain constant even if the national income increases. I suppose all the assumptions are clear now. Now, already we have studied that what are the various export functions. Let's have a quick look on what are the various import functions. Import is dependent upon all these factors. The first one is import prices in relation to domestic prices. If the prices of the goods which are being made within the country are less as compared to the prices of goods which are being imported, so obviously the demand of import will be less. The second assumption is the level of domestic tariffs. If more tariffs and duties are being imposed on imported goods, then that will make the imported goods costlier. So this will decrease the demand for imported products. The third assumption is domestic trade policy, that what all restrictions we are imposing on imports. The next assumption is income elasticity of imports, that is how much proportion of income a consumer is spending on imported products. The next assumption is the level of incomes, like what is the general level of income within the economy. Then the level of exports, how much goods we are exporting. Now these are the various factors on which imports of a country are dependent. Now finally we'll be moving forward to determine the equilibrium level of income. We'll see now that how do we determine the level of national income under four sector model. See, in an open economy, equilibrium position will be when its national income, which is denoted by Y, is equal to its national expenditure, which is denoted by E. Now this we can show in the following equation for the equilibrium level of income. Here national income, that is Y, will be equal to consumption plus savings plus taxes. Fine. And national expenditure, that is E, will be equal to consumption plus investment plus government plus the effect of exports and imports, that is the net effect of exports and imports. So this is the equilibrium position. Now can we consider this as gross national income, that is consumption plus savings plus taxes is equal to gross national income, that is GNI, whereas consumption plus investment plus government expenditure plus the net effect of exports and imports is considered equal to gross national expenditure, right? Now this gross national income results into the aggregate supply, and the gross national expenditure is equal to the aggregate demand. So finally we again, like other models, we again reach at an equilibrium position under four sector model also, where our aggregate supply is equal to aggregate demand. I suppose this is very easy and it must be clear. Now we are going to see the equilibrium position graphically. We are going to draw the x-axis and then the y-axis. On x-axis we take the income and on the y-axis the expenditure. To obtain the equilibrium point, we need to have the aggregate demand and the aggregate supply curve. The aggregate supply curve, like the other two models, will be a slope whose angle is equal to 45 degree, because it assumes that whatever is the income, it is all spent. So this is the aggregate income curve, which is equal to the consumption plus savings plus taxes. Now in order to get the aggregate demand curve, which is equal to consumption plus investment plus government expenditure plus the net effect of exports and imports, we need to get all these curves and then we are going to summate it in order to get the aggregate demand curve. So let's start. We get the consumption curve, which keeps on increasing and it starts at a particular level of expenditure. It is not going to be zero at any point, even if the income is zero. So this is the consumption curve. When we superimpose the effect of investment on the consumption, we get the consumption plus investment curve. On top of it, when we superimpose the effect of government expenditure, we get the sum of consumption plus investment plus government expenditure curve, which is a light blue line. Now, on over and above it, when we superimpose the effect of the net, that is the net effect of exports and imports, we get the summation of consumption plus investment plus government expenditures plus net effect of exports and imports curve, which is a red line. Now you can see here that this red line cuts the dark blue line at this particular point. This red line is the aggregate demand curve and this dark blue line is the aggregate supply curve, and both of them cut each other at this particular point. Now this particular point is the point of equilibrium where aggregate demand is equal to the aggregate supply. Here you can see this. I suppose you got that how do we determine the level of equilibrium under four-sector model. Now, one more thing here to be noted is that so long as the aggregate demand line, that is the red line, which is equal to C plus I plus G plus net effect of exports and imports, is greater than the domestic demand line, that is C plus I plus G. This light blue line is domestic demand line. Fine. You can see that this particular portion where C plus I plus G plus X minus M is greater than C plus I plus G, this particular portion, here it shows that the exports are more than imports, and so there is net addition to the income of the economy. That is up till point D, where the aggregate demand line cuts the domestic demand line. Now beyond this point, the domestic demand line is more as compared to the aggregate demand line. So this particular portion shows that the imports are more than exports, and hence there is net withdrawals from the income stream in the economy. Fine, I suppose you got the point, where the aggregate demand line is less than the domestic demand line. This particular portion shows that there is withdrawals from the economy, and hence you can also see that the equilibrium level of aggregate demand and aggregate supply is at a lower position as compared to the equilibrium level of domestic demand and supply. Point F shows the equilibrium level of equilibrium position of the domestic demand and supply, and point E shows the equilibrium position of aggregate demand and supply, and this is less. So we can conclude that from this analysis we can conclude that when we include the effect of foreign trade, the national income which is derived is less as compared to the national income of a domestic economy, or we can say a closed economy. Fine, I suppose now you have learned that how do we derive the national income under four-sector model and how do we come to the equilibrium point. Now this was the aggregate demand and supply approach. Now let's see that how national income is derived under saving and investment approach. Under saving and investment approach, let's work it out. The equilibrium point is where aggregate supply is equals to aggregate demand, and whereas we can write this as C plus S plus T equals to C plus I plus G plus X minus M, that is net effect of imports and exports. Now both sides C gets cancelled out, so we are left with savings plus taxes equals to investment plus government plus effect of exports minus imports. When we move imports to the other side, we get the equation as S plus T plus M equals to I plus G plus X. That is savings plus taxes plus imports is equals to investment plus government expenditures plus exports. So we see here that under saving investment approach, this is the total income and this is the total expenditure. Under saving investment approach, the equilibrium point is derived where total income is equals to total expenditure. Now let's understand the saving investment approach through a graph. we draw a graph. We draw the x-axis, we draw the y-axis. On x-axis we take the income, on y-axis we take the expenditure. In order to get the equilibrium point, we need to get the total income and total expenditure curve. Total income curve will be a curve whose slope will be equal to 1 and it will form a 45-degree angle. So this is total income curve, which is equal to saving plus taxes plus imports. In order to get the total expenditure curve, we need to get the summation of investments plus government expenditures plus the exports. So let's start. First we'll get the investment curve, which is constant and it's a parallel line to the x-axis. This is the investment curve. When we superimpose the effect of government expenditures, we'll get a curve which is equal to investment plus government expenditure. On top of it, when we superimpose the effect of exports, we'll get a curve which is a summation of investment plus government expenditure plus exports. So the last curve, that is this curve, which is equal to investments plus government expenditures plus export, is our total expenditure curve. Now you can see here that this curve cuts the total income curve, that is the total expenditure curve cuts the total income curve at this particular point. This is the point of equilibrium where total income is equals to total expenditure, and here our national income has been derived. So this is how we derived the national income under saving investment approach. Now I suppose that you have understood the income determination under 4-sector model. We'll be continuing our discussion by solving out a numerical example in the next session. Till then, have a nice time and thank you for watching Edupedia World videos.